Calaroga Shark Media.
Hooray! Daylight savings time. You people that don't like daylight savings time don't want to hear it. Longer daylight after work, and now it's starting to get warm, which has nothing to do with the daylight. I'm on Team Daylight Savings Time. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I'm in a good mood. I just recorded the results of Monday's Comedy Survivor. Wow. Another interesting result. So you're going to want to come back for Comedy Survivor at noon Eastern Daylight Time on Monday. But let's do some comedy stuff, John. All right. The late night guys were talking about Kristi Noem. You saw she got fired. Greg Gutfeld with a good joke. And I'm sure he told it even better than I will. He said Trump fired DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and no one is more disappointed than her dogs. Jimmy Fallon said, you never know with Trump. He either thinks she's bad at her job or he wants her to be the new supreme leader of Iran. Fallon again, Noem is the first cabinet secretary Trump's fired since returning to office. He was like, man, I forgot how good this feels. Get Kash Patel in here. Jimmy Kimmel, the funniest thing would be if they deport her to El Salvador. On HBO tonight is a new show by Bill Lawrence. Now, who's Bill Lawrence? That's the guy that made Scrubs and the guy that made Ted Lasso and some other things, all right? So we like him. He's good at stuff. This stars Steve Carell. It also features John C. McGinley, who is sometimes Dr. Cox on Scrubs. So we've got some really good pedigree here today, although I have seen mixed reviews, possible spoilers here. I haven't actually read the reviews, just the headlines. Daniel Feinberg is one of my favorite TV reviewers. He's in The Hollywood Reporter. His headline, Steve Carell college comedy boasts a stellar cast, but can't figure out what it wants to be. Daniel writes, it's a show with an excess of undeveloped identities rather than a lack of identities, spackling over its poorly fused story elements with a sense of humor that's sometimes appealing and frequently desperately hacky. That's not good. Rooster is the story of an introverted pulp fiction author played by Steve Carell, who is nothing like his macho alter ego, but gets the opportunity to change his life when he gets a job as a writer-in-residence at a small New England college. That gives us the gimmick of reuniting him with his daughter, who's an art history professor, dealing with a crumbling marriage. But Feinberg got a little funny here, he wrote, or perhaps a poetry teacher at a small New England college is looking forward to a reunion with her best friend, newly hired as writer-in-residence, only to have the school's president, John C. McGinley, give the job to a schlocky potboiler scribe played by Steve Carell, who doesn't even want the job. Now, Feinberg writes, okay, Rooster absolutely isn't the last show I mentioned, though there's certainly a subplot. Feinberg writes, it's a truth near universally acknowledged that Bill Lawrence shows generally work best when they dispatch with, or at least de-emphasize, the gimmicks, and just become stories about damaged people hanging out, making mistakes, and hugging. It's completely possible that by the end of the 10-episode first season, Rooster will have found its story, resolved its most discordant pieces, and become another of those charming and more Bill Lawrence shows. Meanwhile, Variety's headline, Steve Carell's HBO comedy Rooster is dated and uninspired. Ooh, that's not good. I thought I had the good review second. I guess not. Oh, I already read you the good review. Oh, no. Steve Carell, Bill Lawrence, John McGinley? Uh-oh. Variety wrote, unfortunately, Rooster is full of predictable characters and circumstances, adding up to a lackluster narrative. Oh no. Rooster is especially disappointing because there's much to be said about the relationships between fathers and adult daughters, but that dynamic is barely explored here. Despite its star power and creator Lawrence's previous work on series like Ted Lasso, Shrinking, and Cougar Town, no mention for Scrubs, dude? Am I going to have to get up a Scrubs posse and come and wag our fingers at you in front of your house? What do you mean you didn't mention Scrubs? Rooster is a dull regurgitation of previously explored themes and figures Carell has portrayed before. Rooster, HBO, tonight. Meanwhile, the LA Times profiled an upcoming concert. It's going to be at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, and it features Joe Coy and Gabriel Iglesias. Gabriel Iglesias. Now, if you're like, who's Gabriel Iglesias? Remind me who he is. He's the guy, his nickname is Fluffy, and he recently played the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Some people call him a sellout.
I don't care. Yeah. I bought a house with that money, so I don't care what you said.
He said, the fact that we've known each other as long as we've had is wild. We've known each other since we both had long hair. On March 21st, SoFi Stadium will be filled with more than 70,000 people. The one-night-only show will not be televised or recorded as a special. It's meant to be a party for comedy fans who have supported Gabe Iglesias and Joe Coy since their early days. Now, if you're like, John, who's Joe Coy again? Can you remind me? Sure, I'm happy to do that. Before Nikki Glaser hosted the Golden Globes, Joe Coy hosted the Golden Globes. Now, you might not remember that year. That was the year he told this horrible, mean joke about Taylor Swift. Here, let's listen.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, We have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Love that bit. Gabe and Joe Coy will pass the mic back and forth throughout the night. The night will feature special guests, surprise moments, and copywriting rule of 3, plenty of other unplanned interruptions. They're expecting a 4-hour show. Gabe Iglesias said it's more sweet because it's taken so long. This wasn't an overnight thing. Nowadays, everybody wants everything so fast. Between the two of us, we've got about 60 years of comedy experience. Joe Coy said it's insane. I can't explain it. Every time we come here and look up, I'm like, there's going to be a stage here the size of the end zone. Wow, I didn't even set this next thing up. I didn't read this far ahead in the article before right now. They quoted in the LA Times Jay Leno. Yeah, the worst person who ever lived said, my attitude when I came to this town is if you can't get in through the front door, go in the back door. And they didn't do it the traditional way. They got to where they are as comedians, one audience member at a time. The show is already completely sold out. 70,000 tickets. Gabe said at a certain point, it's like we've been doing huge stand-up shows for so many years, it becomes normal. What do you do to change things? What do you do to grow? The worst thing that happens is it fails, but at least we know we tried it. Then we know what our ceiling is, but as of now, this is at the ceiling. The LA Times tells us, unlike a typical arena show, which takes several months to coordinate, their big night at SoFi required a full year of planning. The production and stage is 3 times the size of their normal stages and will be managed by the same team that produces stadium shows for acts like Bad Bunny. Boy, the President of the United States isn't going to like this show. Meanwhile, on the Hindustan Times, your home for comedy news, they recapped Gianmarco Soresi's recent trip to India. They quoted Gianmarco as saying, being a New Yorker has prepared me for the frenetic energy of being on the street. And India was like New York in advance mode, but you never feel alone in India, and I do like that. The food was incredible. Although I was heavily monitored to not eat anything that would have disrupted my stage performance, so I fantasize about coming back here with enough time to be a little riskier with spice. Gianmarco said one of the highlights of his trip was hitting the vegetable market in Mumbai at 5 a.m., going to the spice market, flower market, and fish market. Gianmarco said, I got to see the inner workings of how everything works and the chaos and the incredible nature of how people will fill the streets and then clear them out every single day. I wish I didn't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to have had that experience, but I'm glad to have done it once and never again. So please feel encouraged to join us in the Facebook group, which is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. And the other day, I saw Jeff posted that he was off to go see Gianmarco Soresi in New York City. And then I ran into Jeff in real life the other day. You know why? Jeff is one of the infamous trivia guys, and I did some field reporting while at the brewery.
All right, you hear me talk about the trivia guys. I'm here with the trivia guys. Jeff went to see Gianmarco.
I did, at Theater Adult last night at Joe's Pub.
How was it?
It was great. I didn't initially realize I had bought tickets for the Theater Adults. I thought I was just going to see Gianmarco.
Oh, okay.
But then
so you got the whole cabaret.
I got the whole thing. So then, as a former theater kid, now sort of theater adult myself, it resonated. It was a wonderful smorgasbord of comedy. It started out with the piano accompanist came out and warmed us up, had us sing a little bit of Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast. Then Doug Goodhart came out and master it. He told us how to master 5 musical theater moves, very important. Then Gianmarco came out, did about 25 minutes or so of
wow, that's a lot.
Work.
Wow.
And had people in the audience talk about their experiences doing musical theater, and had a couple people come up out of the audience, cajoled them to do a song, which was fantastic. Then Ben Platt came out and opened with Luck Be a Lady in Hebrew from his days at the Jewish Performing Arts Camp as a kid. And then they had a nice chat, and Ben did Corner of the Sky from Pippin, and all the roles in Your Fault from Into the Woods. And then they duetted on You're Nothing Without Me from City of Angels, which was a bit of a deep cut, and it was great. So it was good to see Gianmarco doing a little theater instead of just kind of talking about how he doesn't do theater anymore.
Right.
And the bits were funny, and it was a great night. We look forward to the next one.
And the whole Mulaney ripoff thing, I don't see it at all. And I can't imagine after you saw the cabaret version, you're not seeing that at all. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No.
It's ridiculous.
I don't see him as a ripoff of Mulaney at all.
So one of the unanswered questions when I talk about you guys is, what is the geographic circle? Like, will you go to San Diego? Is it just northern New Jersey? How far away can I get you
To
guys?
see comedy?
No, to hire the trivia guys. Best Men Trivia.
Yeah, no, we pretty much stay Morris County, New Jersey-ish. We'll go down to where's the other county we go to? We go to Somerset County occasionally. Essex County occasionally, but we're pretty local. We're getting
We'll go to San Diego if somebody.
right. If someone wants to hire us, we'll figure out a way to make it work.
We'll pay a little T&E.
Exactly.
If someone wants to fly us out to San Diego, I'm not going to say no.
Like I say, no, that's like me. I want to cover the Sydney, Australia Comedy Festival, but on someone else's time.
Exactly.
All right, I know you got to set up, so let's do old man questions tonight. 80s music, none of this Ariana Grande stuff.
You betcha.
All right, appreciate it.
Do our best.
Friend of the show, Jason Zinnemann in the New York Times. The headline, the funniest special of the year. Dylan, so far, is drunk on words. I might have added the Dylan part. Dylan is one of the guys in the Facebook group who watches 50 times the comedy specials I do. But Dylan's not feeling the Chris Fleming special. That's okay. I don't like Adam Sandler. It's fine. Comedy comes in many forms. We all like different things. Zinnemann agrees with me that Chris Fleming is the funniest special of the year so far. We are aligned, Zinnemann writes. Chris Fleming is a singular comedian for many reasons. His dynamic physicality, hopping, trotting, even moonwalking through jokes. The absolute finesse with which he delivers an insult so that it barely makes a mark. The unpredictability of his digressions and the deadly seriousness he applies to subjects like the art of leading a conga line or Paul Dano's smile. See, this is why we need people who know how to write, like Jason Zinnemann from the New York Times. Because you ask me and I go, oh yeah, it's funny. Or I might say like, oh yeah, and he moves around a lot. I'm like a hack. I can't go more than like 2 sentences and I move on. But friend of the show, Jason Zinnemann of the New York Times writes, the magic trick of his act is that Chris Fleming marries a wild improvisational sense of constantly flying off the handle with a writerly precision with language. Usually you get one but not the other. While you don't hear the term alt-comedy much anymore, that's true, you really don't. I wonder why that is. Because now you hear bro comedy all the time. I guess the alt-comedy guys won? Who knows? While you don't hear the term alt-comedy much anymore, there are plenty of oddball comedians flourishing outside clubs and confessional solo shows. Sarah Sherman has turned splatter and gore into a winning aesthetic, and Julio Torres relies on flamboyant costumes and the abstraction of evoking colors and shapes. Then there's the booming clown scene. Yeah, that doesn't get enough coverage. I'm glad Jason pays attention to the clowns. The clowns are good. Pay attention to Natalie Palamides if she's not on your radar. Natalie is fantastic. And Jimmy Fallon was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Late Nighter reminds us Fallon had appeared on Colbert's Late Show 3 times before, including in the premiere, but never as a guest. Colbert, on the other hand, has been a guest on Fallon's Tonight Show twice. Colbert has popped up twice remotely, once with Conan in 2018 as part of Fallon's monologue, and in 2019 to perform a duet of The Never-Ending Story along with Fallon. That's a really good work there by the Late Nighter folks. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with this. Jimmy Fallon, who is super talented. You hear me stick up for Jimmy Fallon on this show. Now, sometimes the comedy lacks a little punch, but I do understand that Jimmy Fallon understands what the Tonight Show is and isn't. But Fallon did a personalized version of Frank Sinatra's My Way, and I'll let that take us out. And I'll be back in the morning with a regular episode, and then Monday at noon Eastern Daylight Time is Comedy Survivor. All right, Jimmy Fallon, take us home.
And now the end is near, and so you face the final curtain. But Trump, he made it clear he wants you gone, of that we're certain. You've been a gracious host, we've loved you since the old rapport days, and more, much more than this, you did it your way. Yes, they said you're through, and now it's down to just 2 Jimmys. But wait, before you go, can I please have one of your Emmys? Oh, now, what will you do? Dance with the stars or move to Norway? In 28, you'd have our vote.